howling started at midnight. Lyra pressed her palms against her ears, curling tighter beneath the threadbare blanket in her abandoned groundskeeper's shed at the edge of Silvermore territory. 3 months since her rejection ceremony. 3 months since Alpha Tauren of the Ironwood Pack had taken one look at her during the mate gathering, scented her Omega status, and spoken the words that shattered her life. "I reject you, Lyra Winters. You're too weak to stand beside an Alpha." The memory still burned like acid in her chest. But tonight's howling was different. These weren't the triumphant songs of pack runs or the mournful cries of grief. These sounds were small, desperate, and they were right outside her door. Lyra sat up, frost from her breath visible in the cramped space. She'd chosen this shed precisely because no wolf came here too close to the cursed Shadowbreak forest where even alphas feared to tread. The old stories whispered of wolves who entered and never returned, of magic that twisted nature itself. The crying intensified. Multiple voices now, high-pitched and frightened. "Pups." "No," she whispered. "Not my problem." She had barely enough stored roots and dried berries to last another week. Winter was deepening, and she'd already lost weight she couldn't afford to lose. The last thing she needed was a tiny scratch at the door, then another, followed by the most heartbreaking whimper she'd ever heard. "Don't open it. You can't save anyone. You couldn't even save yourself." But her fingers were already reaching for the rusted latch, her Omega instincts overriding logic. The door creaked open, and Lyra's breath stopped. 3 wolf pups huddled in the snow, so small they couldn't be more than 2 weeks old. Their eyes weren't even fully open yet. Ice crystals clung to their fur, one gray with unusual silver markings, one brown with hints of green in its coat, one pure black with a white star on its chest. The black one was trying to shelter the other 2 with its tiny body, shaking violently. "Where's your mother?" Lyra whispered, scanning the tree line. No tracks led to her door except tiny paw prints that seemed to appear from nowhere, as if the pups had simply materialized from the forest itself. The gray pup lifted its head at her voice, releasing a cry that pierced straight through her defenses. Before she could think, Lyra was gathering them into her arms. Stupid Omega," she muttered, but she was already pulling them inside, wrapping them in her only blanket. They were freezing, barely breathing. "I don't have milk. I don't have—" The brown pup nuzzled into her neck, and something extraordinary happened. Warmth spread from where it touched her skin, flooding through her body like liquid sunlight. The sensation was alien yet familiar, as if something long dormant was stirring awake. The black pup pressed against her chest, directly over her heart, and the warmth intensified. The gray one curled against her stomach, and suddenly Lyra gasped. She felt them, not just their physical presence, but something deeper, their hunger, their fear, their desperate need for her. Specifically her. The connection was unlike anything she'd experienced, deeper than pack bonds, more intimate than family. "That's impossible," she breathed. A slow clap echoed from her doorway. Lyra's head snapped up to find a figure silhouetted against the moonlight. As he stepped forward, her blood turned to ice. She knew that powerful frame, those unusual amber eyes that seemed to hold flecks of gold, the midnight black hair that fell to his shoulders. Every Omega in the 5 territories knew Alpha King Xander Nightfall, the most powerful shifter alive, ruler of all packs, and the man who'd never taken a mate despite hundreds of offerings. "Your Majesty," she stammered, trying to bow while clutching the pups. "I didn't, these aren't, I found them." "I know." His voice was deeper than she'd imagined, carrying a rumble that made her Omega instincts simultaneously want to bare her throat in submission and run for her life. "I've been tracking them for 2 days. "Then you should take them." She held the pups toward him, though every cell in her body screamed in protest. "They need their pack. They have found their pack." He stepped closer, and his scent hit her pine smoke, winter storms, and something wild that made her knees weak. They found their mother. Lyra's arms tightened unconsciously around the pups. "I don't understand. I'm nobody's mother. I'm not even mated. I'm just a rejected Omega. Listen." She fell silent at his command, and in that silence she heard it. The pups were making soft chirping sounds, almost like birds. But there was something underneath, a pattern, a repetition that seemed almost like, "Mama," Xander translated, his eyes never leaving her face. They're calling you Mama in the old tongue, the language of the first wolves. That's not possible. Pups, this young can't. Normal pups can't. He crouched before her, bringing himself to eye level. This close, she could see the scar that ran through his left eyebrow, the unnatural stillness of a predator evaluating prey. Tell me, little Omega, what do you know of soul bonds? They're myths, fairy tales for pups. Are they? His hand reached out, not toward her, but toward the pups. The moment his fingers neared them, all three released warning growls far too mature for their age. The black one even snapped at him with teeth that shouldn't exist yet. Xander pulled back, a satisfied smile playing at his lips. They won't let anyone else touch them. I tried. My entire guard tried. They attacked a beta who got too close. But you, he gestured to how they burrowed deeper into her embrace. You touched them, and they knew. But how did they even find me? I'm nobody. These three were the only survivors of the Moonstone Pack massacre 2 nights ago. Lyra's blood chilled. The Moonstone Pack? But they were under my protection, yes. His jaw clenched. 40, 3 wolves slaughtered. These pups were in the nursery. Their parents died defending them. Who would? Someone hunting celestial bloodlines. He stood. These aren't ordinary pups, Lyra. They're the last heirs of the 3 most powerful celestial lines. And somehow, across 100 miles of frozen wilderness, 3 pups who can barely walk found the one person in 5 territories their souls recognized as mother. The brown pup yawned, and a tiny green spark flickered in its mouth there and gone so fast, Lyra almost missed it. Those aren't normal pup eyes, she whispered as she noticed them properly for the first time. The gray's eyes held swirls of silver like mercury. The browns were impossibly green like spring leaves. The blacks were pure gold. No, Xander agreed. They're not normal pups. And you, Lyra Winters, are not a normal Omega. He turned toward the door, pausing at the threshold. There's more. Things you need to know about yourself, about why they chose you. Wait. The shed isn't safe. More hunters will come. He looked back. Come to Shadowbreak Castle, both for their protection and to learn the truth. The cursed castle? Where my grandmother, Queen Seraphina, died. Yes. And where she left something for you. His eyes held secrets. You are her other granddaughter, Lyra. You're my cousin. And you're the lost celestial Luna these pups have been searching for. That's impossible, Lyra said for the 3rd time as she followed Xander through Shadowbreak Castle's massive doors. I'm an orphan, found by the river, raised by pack healers. Found where, exactly? Xander asked, leading her up a sweeping staircase that should have been covered in 50 years of dust but wasn't. By the old temple ruins near. She stopped, ice sliding down her spine. Near the 6th territory border, where the Pun of Diflast, Celestial Pack used to rule. Before the Purge, yes. He pushed open a door to reveal a chamber that belonged in dreams. A bed large enough for 10, shelves of ancient books, a balcony overlooking moonlit mountains. But what made her gasp was the corner, a perfect nursery setup with 3 small beds, fresh linens waiting. The castle's been preparing for your arrival. How? Grandmother's magic. It recognizes celestial blood. He gestured to the room. This was meant to be yours from birth, if the purge hadn't happened. The pups squirmed in her arms, and she set them gently in the nursery area. They immediately began exploring, far more coordinated than 2-week-old pups should be. Tell me everything, she demanded. 20 years ago, someone systematically hunted and killed every celestial wolf. They could channel pure magic, not just shift. The killer feared their power. Who? We never learned. But 3 bloodlines survived by hiding their heirs among normal packs. These pups are those heirs. And me? Xander was quiet for a long moment, watching Tara the brown pup create another tiny green spark. Grandmother had 2 sons, my father, who became king, and Marcus, who fell in love with a celestial woman during a peace summit. My parents? Most likely. The timeline fits. You're 20. The purge happened 20 years ago. A baby found by the river, exactly where someone fleeing the 6th territory would cross. Lyra sank onto the bed, mind reeling. But I've never shown any power. I'm just an Omega. Are you? Xander moved closer, and she caught his scent again, that intoxicating mix that made her want things an Omega shouldn't want from an Alpha King. Tell me about your rejection. Why? Humor me. She closed her eyes, remembering. Torin approached at the mate gathering. I could see his wolf recognizing mine, feel the bond starting to form. Then his face changed. Disgust. He scented I was Omega and... Did he speak first? The memory? Sharpened. No, I did. The words just tore out of me. I reject this bond. Then he said his piece louder, made sure everyone heard his version. An Omega can't reject an Alpha. Xander's eyes gleamed. The wolf hierarchy won't allow it. Unless what? Unless they're not really Omega. He sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. Grandmother was brilliant at protective magic. A binding that would make you appear Omega. Suppress your power. Keep you hidden. Until what? Until you experience true rejection. True isolation. The binding would only break when you had nothing left to lose. As if responding to his words, warmth flooded through her. The silver scars on her shoulder from the night she'd found the pups began glowing softly through her shirt. It's already starting, he said softly. Your real nature emerging. A knock interrupted them. The door opened to reveal a woman with steel-gray hair and calculating eyes. Mira Coldmoon. She introduced herself. The King's Beta. We have a problem. What now? Xander demanded. Torin Ironwood just arrived with a contingent. He's claiming the rejected Omega stole valuable pack property and demands her return for punishment. What property? Lyra asked, though she knew. 3 wolf pups, he says, belong to Ironwood Pack. The pups immediately began growling, tiny sounds that somehow echoed with power. They're lying, Lyra said. Obviously, but pack law states he has the right to present his claim before the king. Mira's smile was sharp. Of course, pack law also states the accused can demand trial by truth. Which is, both parties touch the truth stone. It reveals lies instantly. Xander stood. Torin won't risk it. He'll withdraw. Actually, Mira said, he's insisting on it. Says he has nothing to hide. Lyra felt dread curl in her stomach. He's planning something. Then we'll be ready. Xander's hand found her shoulder, and electricity sparked between them. I won't let him take you or the pups. Why do you care so much? The question slipped out before she could stop it. He turned to her, and for a moment, his controlled mask slipped. Raw hunger flashed in his eyes, along with something deeper. Recognition. Because the moment you walked into this castle, every instinct I have recognized you. His voice dropped to a growl. You're not just my cousin, Lyra. You're my mate. The word hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. That's not possible? He smiled sadly. In our family, it is. Celestial blood calls to celestial blood, and you're the first female celestial I've met who isn't truly my sister. But I don't feel... You will. His certainty was absolute. When your power fully wakes, you'll feel what I feel. The pull between us. Tara chose that moment to toddle over and bite Xander's boot, tiny green flames licking at the leather. Although, he added, lifting the pup who glared at him suspiciously, I'll have to. Win over your guardians first. Despite everything, Lyra laughed, then sobered. Torin's really here? He is, and we're going to face him. Together. The Great Hall could hold 1,000 wolves. Currently, it held 200 alphas and betas from every major and minor pack who'd come for the monthly assembly. They formed a circle around the Truth Stone, an ancient artifact that glowed with soft blue light. Torin stood on one side, bronze hair gleaming, his chosen mate Vera beside him. He looked every inch the confident alpha, except for the slight tremor in his left hand. Lyra entered from the opposite door, the 3 pups walking beside her. They'd refused to stay behind. Gasps echoed through the hall. The rejected Omega. She looks different. Those pups look at their eyes. She'd changed from her tattered Omega clothes into a dress Mira had brought deep midnight blue with silver threading that seemed to capture moonlight. It shouldn't fit a shed-dwelling Omega, but it molded to her as if made for her. Let's get this over with, Torin said loudly. She stole those pups from my territory. I want them and her returned for punishment. Interesting claim, Xander said from his throne. considering the pups were found at her door, not taken from yours. She lured them. Omega magic. Several alphas laughed. Omegas don't have magic, one called out. Touch the stone, Mira commanded. Both of you. Lyra approached the truth stone, noticing how it pulsed brighter as she neared. She placed her hand on its smooth surface, and gasps filled the hall. The stone blazed silver white, a color none had seen before. What? Tauren stepped back. Touch the stone, Alpha Tauren, Xander commanded. His king's voice brooks no refusal. Tauren approached slowly, his confidence cracking. The moment his hand touched the stone beside Lyra's, images exploded into the air above them, visible to all. The truth, unfiltered and undeniable. The hall saw Tauren at a secret meeting, gold changing hands. Kill the celestial pups. Make it look like rogues. They saw him sending wolves to Lyra's shed. Saw those same wolves torn apart by something massive and shadowed. But then the images shifted, showing something Tauren hadn't expected to be revealed. Vera, sneaking through the forest at night. Vera, standing over 3 sleeping pups in the Moonstone nursery, her hands glowing with soft silver light. Vera whispering, "Find her. Find your true mother. I'll make sure the path is clear." "You," Tauren snarled at his mate. "You helped them escape." "I saved them," Vera said calmly. "From you." More images flowed. Vera's true nature, not the beta she pretended to be, but something else. Her eyes flashing silver in private moments. Her healing wounds that should have scarred. Her touching pregnant wolves and ensuring healthy pups. "You're celestial," Lyra breathed. "Half," Vera corrected. "Diluted enough to hide, strong enough to know what you are." She stepped forward. "I've been watching over you since you came to Ironwood, waiting for the right moment." "You knew?" Tauren's face purpled with rage. "You knew what she was and didn't tell me?" "I knew what you were," Vera replied coldly. A coward who rejected his true mate out of fear. The truth stone pulsed, showing one more set of images the night of Lyra's rejection, but from a different angle, showing what really happened. Lyra's eyes had flashed silver for just a moment when Tauren approached. He'd seen it, recognized the power sleeping beneath her Omega presentation, and fear had filled his face. But before he could speak, Lyra had said the words, "I reject this bond." The rejection of an alpha by an Omega impossible under normal circumstances, unless the Omega was something more. "She rejected me first," Tauren said, his voice small. "An Omega rejected an Alpha Prime. Because she was never Omega," Xander stood from his throne. "She's the lost celestial Luna, my grandmother's hidden heir. And these pups recognized her as their sole mother." "Celestials are extinct," someone shouted. "No," a new voice said from the hall's entrance. "We're simply very good at hiding." An elderly woman walked in, but her movements held a grace that defied age. Her eyes were pure silver, and power radiated from her like heat from a forge. "Selene Nightweaver," Mira gasped. "You're supposed to be dead." Reports of my death were strategically spread. The woman approached Lyra, studying her. "Hello, granddaughter." "Grand, but Seraphina was my sister. Twins, actually. She ruled openly while I protected from shadows." Selene touched Lyra's face gently. "Your mother was my daughter. Your father was Marcus Nightfall. That makes you and King Xander cousins, yes, but distant enough that the mate bond between you is not only acceptable, but celebrated among our kind." "Mate bond?" The hall erupted in whispers. "I don't feel," Lyra started, "because your power is still bound." Selene raised her hand, which began glowing. "May I?" Lyra nodded. The moment Selene touched her forehead, everything changed. Power exploded through Lyra like a dam bursting. Her eyes blazed pure silver, her hair lifted as if underwater, and the very air around her shimmered with celestial light. Every plant in the hall burst into bloom. Wounds on various wolves healed instantly. The truth stone cracked from the sheer force of magic, and she felt it the mate bond to Xander, strong as iron chains, sweet as honey, undeniable as gravity. Their eyes met across the hall, and everyone else ceased to exist. "Mine," her wolf said with absolute certainty. "Yours," his wolf answered. The 3 pups howled in harmony, and their own power awakened fully. Terra breathed emerald fire that formed flowers. Frost created ice sculptures that moved like living creatures. Nox became shadow and light simultaneously. Celestial pups, Celine confirmed. The first naturally born in 20 years. They sought their soul mother, the only one strong enough to raise and protect them. This is impossible, Torin stammered. This is justice, Vera said, finally showing her true power, silver light dancing around her fingers. You rejected her for being weak, but she was never weak. She was hidden, protected, waiting for the right moment to emerge. And now she has, Xander said, moving to Lyra's side. His hand found hers, and their combined power made the entire castle hum. The celestial Luna has returned, and anyone who threatens her or her pups will answer to me. To us, Celine corrected. The celestials rise again, and those who hunted us will learn why we were feared. As if in response to her words, somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled, but it wasn't any ordinary wolf's call. It was the haunting, beautiful, terrifying song of the celestials, announcing their return. The age of hiding was over. 3 days after the revelation, Lyra stood in the castle's ancient library, surrounded by texts about celestial powers. Her transformation was complete, but controlling her abilities was another matter entirely. Focus, Celine instructed. Power without control is chaos. Lyra tried to channel energy into healing a wilted plant. Instead, it burst into a tree that crashed through the ceiling. Perhaps less enthusiasm, Celine said dryly, though her eyes sparkled with amusement. The pups, meanwhile, had their own lesson with Vera in the corner. They'd grown remarkably in 3 days now, the size of 3-month-old pups, their intelligence far exceeding normal development. Terra, gentle flames, Vera coached. We're creating, not destroying. Terra nodded solemnly, then breathed out a perfect butterfly made of green fire that fluttered around the room before dissolving. Show off, Frost muttered, his voice high but clear, their first spoken words beyond mama. Least I don't freeze everything I touch, Terra shot back. Children, Nox said, with exaggerated patience, shadows swirling around him. We're supposed to be learning. Lyra stared. They're talking, incomplete sentences. Celestial pups develop differently, Celine explained. Their souls are ancient even if their bodies are young. They'll reach physical maturity in a year instead of the usual 2. A knock interrupted the lesson. Xander entered, and Lyra's heart did that annoying flutter it had been doing since their bond activated. We have a problem, he announced. Another one? Lyra sighed. The Void Walker has been spotted near the border. Everyone froze. Even the pups went silent. That's impossible, Celine whispered. She was destroyed in the purge. Who's the Void Walker? Lyra asked. The first celestial, Vera said quietly. The original. Legend says she went mad with power, started consuming other celestials' magic. She caused the purge, trying to eliminate anyone strong enough to challenge her. And she's here? Scouts report a woman matching her description. Silver hair, mirror eyes, shadow form shifting. Xander's jaw clenched. She's hunting something. Or someone, Celine said, looking at Lyra. A newly awakened celestial Luna would be irresistible to her. Then we face her, Lyra said with more confidence than she felt. You're not ready. I have to be. She looked at the pups who pressed against her legs protectively. She won't stop coming. Mira burst through the door. She's here! The Void Walker is at the gates. They rushed to the castle walls. Below stood a figure that seemed to bend light around her, beautiful and terrible, ancient beyond measure. She wore Seraphina's face, but wrong, twisted into something inhuman. Hello, little Luna, the Void Walker called, her voice echoing unnaturally. I've been waiting so long for you to wake up. Stay back, Xander commanded, moving protectively in front of Lyra. The creature laughed. The young king thinks to protect what's mine. How sweet. I'm not yours, Lyra said, stepping beside Xander. Aren't you? The last pure celestial Luna, raised by my careful design. The Void Walker's form shifted. Who do you think arranged for your parents to meet? Who ensured you'd be hidden but not lost? Who made sure those 3 precious pups would find you? You're lying. Am I? She gestured, and images appeared in the air, Marcus and Lyra's mother meeting at what looked like an arranged gathering, the Void Walker watching from shadows. I've been breeding the perfect celestial for centuries. You're my masterpiece. Why? Because only a true celestial Luna can open the Shadowbreak vault, and inside is the power to remake this world. Her smile was sharp. Your grandmother thought she was clever, locking it before she died. But she didn't know I'd already ensured her bloodline would continue. Tara snarled, green fire building in her throat. Ah, the Trinity Pups. My other project. The Void Walker's eyes gleamed. 3 bloodlines cultivated, over generations to create perfect vessels. They'll be magnificent when I drain them. You won't touch them. Power surged through Lyra, making her eyes blaze silver. Such spirit. You're everything I hoped for. The Void Walker stepped closer. Join me willingly, and I'll spare your mate. Refuse, and watch him die slowly. She gestured, and Xander gasped, clutching his chest. Black veins spread from where her magic touched him. Stop! Lyra screamed. Say you'll come with me. No, Vera interrupted, stepping forward with power blazing. You made one mistake, Void Walker. Oh? You assumed Lyra was the only celestial Luna left. Vera's form shimmered, revealing her true power, not half celestial, but full. Grandmother had twins. My mother survived too. Impossible. We're cousins, Vera said to Lyra. Both Luna, born, both hidden, both waiting. She raised her hands, and silver light erupted from her. Together, we're stronger than you. The Void Walker snarled her, beautiful mask cracking. Then I'll drain you both. The battle was swift and terrible. Shadow met light, ancient power against newfound strength. But the Void Walker had centuries of experience. She was winning, until the pups joined in. Tara, Frost, and Nox moved in perfect synchronization. Fire, ice, and shadow wove together into something new, creation and destruction in harmony. They were tiny, but their power was vast, pure in a way that made the Void Walker recoil. The Trinity, Celine gasped. The prophecy spoke of 3 who would either save or damn us all. The choice was never theirs, it's hers. She pointed at Lyra. Choose, the Void Walker hissed, struggling against the pups' combined assault. Join me and live as a goddess. Refuse and watch everyone you love perish. Lyra looked at Xander, poisoned and dying. At Vera, pouring everything into the fight. At Celine, aged but proud. At her pups, not hers by blood but by soul, fighting with everything they had. The choice was simple. I choose them, she said. Always. Power erupted from her, not silver but pure white, the color of every possibility, every potential. It struck the Void Walker, and for the first time in centuries, the ancient creature screamed in pain. This isn't over, the Void Walker gasped, her form dissipating. The vault calls. You'll have to open it eventually. She vanished, leaving only the smell of burnt shadow. Lyra caught Xander as he collapsed, the poison in his veins fighting her healing. We need the vault, Celine said quietly. It's the only way to save him now. Lyra looked at her dying mate, her exhausted cousin, her brave pups. Then we open it, she decided. But on our terms. The Shadowbreak vault lay beneath the castle, accessible only through a passage that hadn't been opened in 50 years. As they descended the ancient stone steps, Lyra could feel its pull, a thrumming in her bones that grew stronger with each step. Xander leaned heavily on her, the poison spreading despite her attempts to heal him. Black veins now covered half his chest, and his breathing was labored. Leave me, he murmured. If it's a trap, we die together or live together. Lyra cut him off. No other options. The pups led the way, their eyes glowing in the darkness. They seemed to know exactly where to go, as if called by the same force Lyra felt. Their parents died to ensure they'd reach the vault, Vera said, supporting Xander's other side. The Moonstone Pack was the keeper of its location. Keepers of many secrets, Celine added from behind, including the truth about what's really inside. They reached a massive door covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. 3 indentations marked its surface, one that flickered with green light, one with silver, one with shadow. The Trinity locks, Celine explained. Only these 3 pups can open them. Tara, Frost, and Nox approached without hesitation. They placed their small paws in the right indentations, and their combined power flowed into the door. But nothing happened. There's more, Vera realized. The Luna's seal. In the center of the door was a fourth indentation shaped like a human hand. Lyra stepped forward, but Celine caught her arm. Once opened, it can't be closed again. Whatever's inside, good or evil, will be released. Xander's dying, Lyra said simply. She pressed her hand to the seal. The moment her skin touched stone, visions flooded her mind. Serafina, young and powerful, standing before this same door. I'm not sealing weapons or prisoners, she said to someone off-scene. I'm sealing hope. The view shifted, showing what she placed inside, not objects but pure celestial essence. The combined power of hundreds of celestials who chose to sacrifice their magic rather than let it be corrupted. One day, Serafina whispered, when the Luna returns with the Trinity, this power will restore what was lost. The vision ended as the door began, opening, ancient mechanisms groaning. Light poured out, not harsh but warm, welcoming. Inside was not a vault but a garden. An impossible garden that shouldn't exist underground, where silver trees bore golden fruit and flowers made of starlight bloomed eternal. It's beautiful, Lyra breathed. It's a trap, Vera warned, but the pups were already racing inside. They followed cautiously. At the garden's heart stood a pool of liquid moonlight, and beside it waited. Mother? Lyra gasped. A woman who looked like an older version of Lyra stood by the pool, but translucent, not quite solid. Not your mother, the figure said gently. I'm an echo, a message Serafina left for you. She gestured to the pool. The spring of renewal. It can heal any poison, break any curse, restore any power lost. But there was always a but. But whoever enters pays a price. They become the new guardian, bound to protect this place and its power from those who would abuse it. The echo looked sad. It's a lifetime commitment. You could never leave. Then Xander started. No, Lyra and Vera said simultaneously. It has to be someone with celestial blood, the echo explained. Or the spring won't work. Lyra looked at Vera. A silent conversation passed between them. Together, Vera suggested. Always stronger together, Lyra agreed. That's not how the echo started. But they were already stepping into the pool, hands clasped. The liquid moonlight was warm, tingling with power that seeped into their skin. Lyra gasped as she felt the poison leaving Xander through their mate bond, drawn into the spring and purified. Impossible, the echo whispered. 2 guardians. The spring doesn't... We're rewriting the rules, Lyra said as power flooded through her. Celestials don't have to be alone anymore. The spring began glowing brighter, responding to their combined will. The garden shuddered, expanded, became more real. We accept the role of guardian, they said in unison. But on our terms. The echo smiled, a real smile now, not programmed. Serafina hoped someone would be strong enough to change the binding, to make it serve life, not isolation. The pups splashed into the pool, and suddenly Lyra understood. They weren't just Trinity pups, they were keys to transformation. Their presence changed the equation entirely. A pack guardian, Celine breathed. Not one guardian, but a pack. That's never been done. First time for everything, Tara said cheerfully, her green fire mixing with the moonlight to create emerald stars. Frost breathed over the water, creating ice crystals that held the light permanently. Nox's shadows gave it depth, grounding ethereal power in reality. Xander stumbled to the pool's edge. The black veins were gone, his strength returning. Lyra, she pulled him into the water. Where I go, you go. Guardian's mate has privileges too. The moment he entered, the garden exploded with life. Trees grew taller, flowers bloomed brighter, and something shifted in the very air. The Void Walker, Vera gasped. I can feel her. She's coming. Let her, Lyra said, power thrumming through her veins. This time, we're ready. The garden shuddered as something slammed into its barriers. The Void Walker materialized at its edge, unable to enter but radiating fury. You little fools, you've bound yourselves to a prison. No, Lyra corrected. We've claimed a fortress. She raised her hand, and the garden responded. Vines of pure starlight erupted from the ground, wrapping around the Void Walker. Stop! The ancient creature shrieked. You don't know what you're doing. Actually, I do. Lyra drew on the knowledge the spring had given her. You're not the first celestial. You're a parasite that possessed her. A shadow given form through stolen power. The Void Walker's perfect mask cracked, revealing darkness beneath. How? The spring holds all celestial memory, Vera explained. We know. Everything now. Every life you stole. Every power you corrupted. Then you know you can't destroy me, the Void Walker snarled. I'm immortal. No, Nox said, his child's voice carrying ancient authority. You're a shadow, and shadows disappear in true light. The three pups stood together, their combined power focused. Terra's fire, Frost's ice, and Nox's shadows wove together into something new, pure creation energy, the opposite of the void. Together, Lyra commanded. She and Vera joined their power with the pups. Xander added his alpha strength. Celine contributed her years of wisdom. Even the garden itself lent its energy. The blast of pure celestial light struck the Void Walker directly. She screamed not in pain but in rage as her stolen power was stripped away, layer by layer, century by century, until only the original shadow remained. I am eternal, it whispered. I am the space between stars. Then go back there, Lyra said simply. With a final shriek, the shadow dissipated, scattered to the cosmic void where it belonged. Silence fell over the garden. Is it over? Vera asked. The Void Walker is, Celine confirmed. But this is just the beginning. The Celestials can return now. The garden will call them home. As if summoned by her words, howls echoed from above, not 2 or 3, but dozens. Celestial wolves who'd been hiding, waiting, hoping. Our people, Lyra whispered. Our pack, Xander corrected, pulling her close. The pups splashed happily in the spring, their laughter filling the garden with joy. For the first time in 20 years, the Celestials had a home. 6 weeks had passed since the Void Walker's defeat. The garden had transformed into a thriving sanctuary, with 23 celestial wolves returning from hiding. But tonight, something was wrong. Lyra woke to the pups whimpering, huddled against her. Mama, Tara whispered. Someone's here. Someone bad. Before Lyra could respond, Xander burst through the door. We're under attack. Not rogues' organized forces. They rushed to the castle walls. Below, an army waited. Not just wolves, but hunters with silver weapons, mountain ash barriers, and worse collars that gleamed with dark magic. Leading them stood Torin. Hello, cousin, he called up, and Lyra's blood froze. He shouldn't know that term, that connection. How? Did you think you were the only one with secrets? He pulled someone forward, Celine, bound and bloodied. Grandmother's been very informative. That's impossible. Lyra turned to find Celine beside her, but the elder was already shifting, her form rippling. A shapeshifter, Vera breathed. You're not Celine. Very good. The false, Celine said, her voice changing. I've been playing this role for weeks. The real Celine's been our guest since you opened the vault. Who are you really? The shapeshifter's form solidified into a woman with stark white hair and dead black eyes. Morgana Voidborn. The Void Walker's daughter. She had many children over the centuries. Experiments in creating the perfect vessel. Morgana smiled coldly. I was her greatest failure, unable to hold celestial power. But I found other talents. Why? Lyra demanded. Because you killed my mother. And now I'll take everything you love. She signaled, and the army advanced. Starting with those precious pups. The battle was chaos. Celestial wolves fought desperately, but the hunters were prepared: silver nets, poison darts, binding spells that suppressed their magic. Lyra tried to reach the garden's power, but something was blocking her. Morgana laughed. Mountain ash barriers, infused with void essence. Your garden can't help you here. Tara tried to breathe fire, but a collar snapped around her neck, suppressing her power. She cried out, and Lyra's rage exploded. Don't touch them! She lunged forward, but Torin caught her, his strength somehow enhanced. Oh, I've had upgrades too. Morgana's quite generous with power. He threw her against the wall. Stars exploded across her vision. Through the chaos, she saw Frost and Nox being collared. their powers dimming. Vera was fighting 3 hunters at once. Xander was surrounded, refusing to fall despite multiple wounds. They were losing. "Stop!" Lyra screamed. "What do you want?" "Surrender," Morgana said simply. "You and the pups come with us. The others go free." "Don't!" Xander snarled, but Tara screamed as her collar tightened, and Lyra couldn't watch her pups suffer. "I surrender." The fighting stopped. Morgana smiled triumphantly. "Lyra, no," Vera pleaded. "Take care of them," Lyra said, allowing hunters to collar her. The metal burned, cutting her off from her power. All of them. As they dragged her and the pups away, she heard Xander's howl of rage and loss. It followed them into the darkness. They were taken to a facility built into a mountain-cold iron and mountain ash everywhere. The pups were separated from her, locked in different cells. "Insurance," Morgana explained. "You'll do exactly as I say, or they suffer. What do you want?" "Simple. You'll open the real vault." That was a decoy. Beautiful misdirection by Serafina. Morgana showed her a map. "The real vault is in the heart of the void, where my mother originated. Only a true celestial Luna can survive the journey. And if I refuse," a scream echoed Tara, in pain. "I'll take them apart piece by piece," Morgana said casually. "Did you know celestial pups can survive remarkable damage? We could experiment for years." "I'll do it," Lyra said, hating herself. "Just don't hurt them." "Good girl." Days blended together. They traveled by night. The pups kept weak and compliant through the collars. Lyra tried to comfort them when allowed, but contact was limited. "Mama," Frost whispered one night, "we're getting stronger." She didn't understand until Tara added, "The collars are teaching us." "What?" "They suppress big power," Nox explained quietly. "So we're learning small power. Tiny, invisible." Hope bloomed in her chest. The pups were adapting, learning to work around their restraints. On the 7th night, they reached the void, a chasm of pure darkness that seemed to eat light itself. "The entrance is at the bottom," Morgana said. "You'll climb down, open the vault, and bring me what's inside." "How do I know you'll keep your word?" "You don't. But what choice do you have?" As Lyra prepared to descend, she felt it a tiny spark of warmth. Tara had managed to send her the smallest flame, invisible to others but carrying a message. "Pack coming. Vera, Xander. They were coming. She just had to survive until they arrived." "I'm ready," she lied. The descent into the void was like drowning in darkness. But worse was what she found at the bottom, not a vault, but a mirror made of void stuff. When she looked into it, the Void Walker looked back. "Hello, granddaughter. Did you really think destroying my form would end me? I am the void. I am eternal. And now, you'll be my new vessel." The mirror cracked, and shadow poured out, heading straight for her. Above, she heard the pups howling, not in pain but in warning. Then everything went black. Darkness tried to consume her, but Lyra held on to one thought. "The pups need me." The Void Walker's essence pressed against her mind, trying to possess her. But something was different this time. Where the ancient shadow expected to find fear, it found fury. "You think I'm weak?" Lyra snarled into the darkness. "I survived rejection, isolation, loss. You're just another predator thinking I'm prey. You can't fight me, child. I am inevitable." "No, you're a parasite." Above, she heard it, the sound of battle. Xander's roar, Vera's magic, and beneath it all, 3 small voices chanting in harmony. The pups were doing something impossible. Despite their collars, they were channeling power, not their own, but hers. The bond between them transcended physical restraints. "Mama, use us," Tara's voice echoed in her mind. "We're your anchors." Understanding flooded through her. The Void Walker needed a single vessel. But Lyra wasn't single, she was part of a pack, bonded to her pups at soul level. "You want a vessel?" She spread her arms wide. "Take us all." The Void Walker recoiled. "What are you doing?" "What you never could, sharing." She opened every connection she had. To Tara, Frost, and Nox. To Xander through their mate bond. To Vera through their cousin blood. To every celestial who'd returned to the garden. The Void Walker's essence hit that network and screamed. It couldn't possess multiple souls simultaneously, it would dissipate, spread too thin to maintain consciousness. "Stop!" "Never." Above, Morgana realized something was wrong. "Kill the pups, now!" But it was too late. Xander burst through her forces like divine retribution. Vera beside him wreathed in silver flame. The real Celine, freed from captivity, struck down hunters with ancient fury. The pups' collars shattered simultaneously, their combined power erupting. They jumped into the void without hesitation, racing toward Lyra. "No!" she screamed. "It's too dangerous!" "Together," they said in unison, reaching her just as the Voidwalker made one last desperate attempt at possession. 4 souls against 1 ancient shadow. It should have been no contest. But these weren't ordinary souls. They were bonded, united, multiplied in strength by their connection. The Voidwalker hit their combined essence and shattered like glass against stone. "Impossible," it whispered as it dispersed. "I am eternal." "Nothing's eternal," Nox said solemnly. "Even shadows end when the sun rises." The void began collapsing. Lyra grabbed her pups, but climbing was impossible, the walls were dissolving. Then strong arms caught her. Xander, bloodied but alive, pulled them up with desperate strength. Vera grabbed the pups. Together, they ran as reality folded behind them. They burst into daylight just as the void sealed itself, taking Morgana, who tried to follow them down with it. Torrhen stood frozen, his enhanced strength meaningless without his puppet master. What have I done?" "What you always do," Lyra said exhaustedly. "Choose the wrong side." But she was too tired for vengeance. The pups were safe. Xander was alive. The Voidwalker was truly gone. "Mama," Tara said, "look." Where the void had been, flowers were growing. Impossible, beautiful flowers that shouldn't exist, spreading outward in a wave of life reclaiming death. "You purified it?" Celine said in wonder. "The void itself. You've reclaimed that lost land." "We did," Lyra corrected, holding her pups close. 1 year later. The festival of renewal filled the garden with laughter and light. Celestial wolves from all territories had come to celebrate not just the Voidwalker's defeat, but what came after. Lyra stood on the castle balcony, watching Tara teach young pups to create flame flowers. Frost was conducting an ice sculpture contest. Nox had turned hide-and-seek into an art form with his shadow powers. They'd grown to adolescent size but maintained their playful spirits. More importantly, they'd helped train the next generation of celestial wolves, ensuring their kind would never again face extinction. "Admiring our chaos?" Xander asked, arms wrapping around her swollen belly. "Our family," she corrected. "Though chaos isn't wrong." The twins she carried kicked, as if agreeing. The first naturally born celestial pups in 20 years, they'd already shown signs of power, hiccuping sparks and freezing Lyra's tea. Torrhen requested another audience, Vera said, approaching with her own mate, a gentle beta who adored her true nature. "Again? He's persistent in his redemption. I say give him another century of community service." They laughed, but Lyra had already forgiven him. Holding on to anger took energy better spent on building their future. "Mama!" Tara called. "Look what we made!" The 3 pups had combined their powers, creating a living statue of light and shadow wreathed in eternal flame, a memorial to all celestials lost in the purge. "It's perfect," Lyra said, tears in her eyes. "Just like our family," Frost added with a grin. As the sun set over their thriving territory, Lyra marveled at the journey. From rejected Omega to celestial Luna, from alone to surrounded by love, from hidden to proud. "No regrets?" Xander asked. "None," she said, watching her pups lead the pack in a howl that echoed across all territories, a song of triumph, survival, and hope. The rejected Omega had become the mother of a new age, and this was just the beginning.